Hello and welcome along to today's module in which we're going to be talking about trust for a purpose. So I guess to get started I need to explain what a purpose trust is, and I'm going to do that using, and I apologize for this, a little bit of important legal theory. I promised at the beginning of this course not to do too much legal theory or not to do any legal theory at all. But in this case, I think it's a little bit interesting and helpful and helps us understand this point. And this is the idea, this concept is the idea of the three certainties. And these are the three certainties. And the three certainties are the core things, according to the law in most countries, it is the three core things that you need to have a valid trust. If you do not have these three things, then you may have something, but it probably isn't a trust. Three certainties. First certainty, certainty of intention. Second certainty, certainty of subject matter. And the third certainty is the certainty of objects. And you probably think to yourself, that's great. What does all that mean? Let me explain by looking at our typical imaginary trust. So in this trust, we have the grantor, founder, settlor, person who creates the trust. And the first certainty was, if you remember, the certainty of intention. What that means is that when this person creates the trust, he or she must actually intend to create a trust and not intend to do something else. This comes up most commonly in the case of asset protection trust, where somebody has created a trust. Perhaps their real intention was to defraud their creditors rather than to create a real trust for the benefit of future generations. So that's one of the issues. Was there really an intention to create a trust, or was the intention something else, or was this some kind of mistake? Second thing, we need to know certainty of subject matter. We need to know what is actually in the trust. In this example, it's pretty simple because we have a house. In real life, it can be quite confusing. People will say, for example, that I want my collection of ceramics to be in the trust. But what does that mean? We need to have some kind of list or some kind of schedule so we know exactly what things are in the collection of ceramics and what things are not. And the things that are in the collection of ceramics are in the trust. You can't, for example, put into the trust the ceramics that I like, because we don't know what that is after you're gone. So that's certainty of subject matter. Third certainty is certainty of objects. And for most trusts around the world, the objects of a trust are the people who will get the benefit of the trust. In other words, the beneficiaries. We need to know who the beneficiaries are, and there are some quite complex rules, but at its heart we need to be able to tell if somebody is a beneficiary or not. But a purpose trust is a little bit different because it doesn't have beneficiaries. What it has instead is a purpose. So we have a trust that we create on purpose. It has some assets in it, but it doesn't exist for people. It exists for some kind of purpose. What is a purpose? So I'm starting that discussion by looking at this extract, which I just copied from it's a screen capture from the website of the RSPCA, the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, which in the UK is the main animal protection charity. It's a charity. A lot of charities are structured as trusts or something like trust. The RSPCA, I think, is something like a trust. It has trustees. It does not exist for the benefit of people. It exists for the purpose. And in this case, the purpose is that we exist to inspire everyone to create a better world for every animal. So I think that's a fantastic purpose. So that's an example of a purpose. But there are many more purposes, and these are limited really only by the imagination of the people who create the trusts. Here are some examples. These are, I think, all of them very real examples. One of the first ones is to hold an annual ice hockey competition. If you live in North America or in Europe, you'll probably be familiar with the Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup was created originally as a trust with the purpose of encouraging, I don't know the exact wording of it, but with the purpose of organizing this annual competition, which has continued on for many years since, and it is the main US domestic hockey competition. So that's the purpose trust. Another purpose, to award an annual prize to the best female economist in France. I don't know if that exact trust exists. I personally was involved in establishing a trust with exactly that goal, but in a different country than France. So those are two kind of, we can say, big picture, sort of charitable type public good purposes. But then you can have smaller things. So you can establish a trust to maintain the tennis court in your local village, or to encourage the playing of tiddlywinks in Mexico or wherever it is that you live. You could create a trust for a political purpose, to support the election of Mr. X or Mrs. X as president. And the last one is quite common as well, to look after Tiddles, Tiddles being my cat or my dog. So after I die, I want to put some money aside to make sure that my pet is properly looked after I'm gone. And that is a purpose. And the reason why is because Tiddles, charming though Tiddles may be, is not actually a person, not a human being. And so you can't create a trust with Tiddles as the beneficiary. A trust like that is also a purpose trust. And those 6 examples, they're just examples. I think they are all great examples of good things that you can do or could do theoretically with a trust. Of course, it's limited by your imagination. Some of those things are charitable things, for example, the RSPCA, and some of those things are not. They're more private, but they're still good, I think. Some things can be silly. So if you want to, it's a perfectly reasonable purpose to inflate, if you like German pop music, to inflate and release 99 balloons every Tuesday. You could create a trust with the purpose of sending the president a new pair of socks every Friday. So some of those purposes are good, some of those purposes are not good. I personally don't think there is a problem with the purpose trust concept as a way of encouraging bad things. It's the people who create them who come up with the bad or the silly ideas. But most of the time, when I see a purpose trust, the purpose is something genuinely good and genuinely useful. But there is a problem. And the problem is the courts and the legal system, and the courts, generally speaking, do not like purpose trusts. So let's try and figure out what their problem is, and then talk about is that okay, and can we somehow, if you like, get around that. So we start by looking at a quite famous, not because it's particularly important legal theory, but interesting and amusing, the case of Brown and Burdett from 1882. And in this case, a lady, her purpose was that she wanted her house to be boarded up, and I quote here, with good long nails to be bent down on the inside. So that was the purpose. And when you think about it, that's, I think we would all agree, not quite such a useful and helpful purpose as some of the ones that we were looking at in our example. And the judge in that case agreed with that thought and said that basically this is a thing, and to quote one word, a little bit out of context, he said it was useless. And I think he's right. So sometimes the purposes are silly, sometimes not. But the other reasons the courts have a problem is that in the case of a normal trust with beneficiaries, we have somebody who is there to keep an eye on the trustees and make sure that they are doing a good job, and that's the beneficiaries. The beneficiaries are interested in making sure that everything is managed and looked after properly. With a purpose trust, there is no person. So who is there to check that the trustees are doing a good job? And that is the reason why when you see a purpose trust, it's good if there is some kind of enforcer or protector or somebody like that to keep everybody honest. But more fundamentally, the question is this: who is it actually for? You take money, you put it in a bucket, and there's never people at the end of this. There is just some amorphous kind of soft and spludgy goal. And the courts don't like things that are not for people, things that tie money up forever without any person at the end of the line. And for that reason, in most of the world, purpose trusts, even though I think personally that they are great, are not allowed. Okay, most of the time in most of the world. There are some exceptions. First exception is charities. So in a lot of countries, charities are established as trusts because a trust is a fantastic structure for running something like a charity. And charities generally are, by their definition, established for a purpose. In the UK, for example, there is a list of purposes set out in law, and if your trust complies with one or more of those purposes, then you can establish yourself, but this is very strictly regulated, and you can do that only with the approval and under the control and supervision of the Charities Commissioner. So in other words, they don't want people going around setting up purpose trusts willy-nilly. And anyway, those trusts have to be for charitable purposes. So the encouragement of the playing of tiddlywinks might be charitable. Looking after the tennis court in the village, probably not. I'm not an expert on UK law, but it's limiting the range of choices quite a lot. A lot of countries also have specific exceptions. So a lot of people do like to look after tiddles or their cat or dog when they die. So a lot of countries have a specific exception allowing you to set up a purpose trust for the purpose of looking after your cat or dog after you, or your animal after you have died. In other countries and other places, there are exceptions allowing for the maintenance of your tomb. Sounds a little bit Victorian, but that's a nice idea. You put some money aside so that even if you have no relatives or family, your grave is weeded and flowers are put there and so on. And this seems to be an exception that is okay in some places. And there's one or two other exceptions, but that's pretty much it. So if you want to create a trust that is not charity, it does not have people, it is for a purpose, then the short answer is you are out of luck. Unless you go to one of a number of places in the world, and there are a few jurisdictions. I have some palm trees because some of those jurisdictions are in the Caribbean. You go to one of those jurisdictions which specifically their law does allow purpose trusts to exist. Like I said, mostly in the Caribbean. In Europe, to my knowledge, the only jurisdiction that allows it is the Czech Republic, which is where I come from, and one of the reasons why I'm a big fan of purpose trusts. So that's all about purpose trusts. I hope that's clear. If you are thinking about creating a trust for a nice purpose, that's great. You will need some help because it's not as easy as you might think. And if your purpose is a good one, I wish you the very best of luck. Thank you. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found that useful and helpful. If you'd like to see more of this, please like the video and please subscribe using the button that you can see just there. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and thanks again for watching.